materials and information for each and everyone. Like, subscribe, and share. I hope to see you there.
And if you're looking for health awareness, elevation, games, stories, songs, comedy, and more, then come check me out. Serve and David Show. Holly Man and Woman can go. Content for your channel that grow. Copyrights just for me on the info. You're the name in the intro. This is Serve and David Show. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And don't forget to share me out. Yes, serve and David sell out, manners, and elevation.
There once was an ant who found a little piece of a hot dog, and he began to nibble on that hot dog until he got full. And it was so good, and it was so much that was still left. And he just had to go back and tell his family. So he went back to his nest and he told his friends and his family and everyone that was there that he found a nice piece of meat, but it's too heavy for him to carry. So he led them to it. They all followed him to it. When they reached, they all picked up the hot dog and they carried it to their nest. And they ate for months. The moral of the story is, if we all unite, we can move things that seem to be unmovable, yeah? Something to think about. Servant David said, love, manners, elevation. This story is kind of funny, kind of messed up, but in the comments down below, I want you to tell me what would you have done being on your side. This is a true story. It did not happen to me, but it happened to someone that I know. So, let's jump right into it, yeah? There was a family, and, mother, father, brother, kids, the brothers, sisters. Kind of funny, kind of messed up, but in the comments down below, I want you to tell me what would you have done being on either side. This is a true story. It did not happen to me, but it happened to someone that I know. So, let's jump right into it, yeah? There was a family, mother, father, kids, the brothers, sisters, and they were the average type of family, and the kids, they grew up. One of them grew up, I think he became a carpenter or something like that, but one of them, the daughter, she became a police officer. And her mom, they smoked weed, marijuana, and all their life, So, the daughter, so they grow up and they move out of the house and everything. And the daughter, like I said, she became a police officer. And one day, she went over to her parents' house. Her dad had passed away maybe a few years, but she had went over to her mom's house. Her mom was living, by herself and everything. And she goes over to her mom's house, and I guess she must have smelled weed inside the house. And basically, she arrested her mother for having marijuana. Now, this was before they made it legal, but still. Would you arrest your parents? You're a police officer, would you even give your parents a traffic ticket if you was to pull them over? What would you do? I wouldn't. I don't think I could arrest my parents unless they maybe kill someone or something like that. And even then, I try to give them heads up for yo, you better, you know. But you don't know. What would you do? The daughter went over to the mom's home. She smelled weed. She said, "The mom, and the mom don't hide it." Sitting there smoking, and I guess they get into their little back and forth, discussion, argument, whatever, and the daughter arrests the mother. Yes, she was on duty when she went over there. So my thing is, you're on duty. What is the purpose of you going over to your mom's home? You did not go over there to try to catch her. You just went over there to visit, which means you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing while you're on duty. So before you worry about someone's big piece of wood in their eye, think about a huge piece of concrete we have in your own, I'm just saying. But what would you guys do? Anyways, as you servant David said, love, manners, and elevation.
Bless greetings each and everyone. Well, it's story time again. So get around and grab your candy, your popcorn, your smoothies, or what may have you. Gather around, ladies and gentlemen. It's story time again. Well, this story here is about two frogs who grew up together as tadpoles. They weren't brothers, but they were two different species of frogs. And one was fat, and one was skinny. One was green, and one was yellow and black. One day they were hopping along. One day they were hopping along, just hopping along, and they came upon a barn. They saw that a farmerman had put down a bucket right there on the steps, kind of in the corner, but where the sun was. Well, they hopped on over after that farmerman walked away, and they were curious of what might be in that bucket. They hopped over and they reached the bucket, but the bucket was too tall and they couldn't figure out what was inside. So they hopped and they hopped until they got into that bucket. And they found out that there was some milk inside of that bucket. So they were glad and they drank till their bellies were full. When it was time to come out, they just couldn't come out. And all they could do was swim around and swim around and swim around in that milk. Well, they swam till they got tired and they were full.
They both looked at each other and said, how are we going to get out? We can't drink all this milk. If we drink it, we may drown from over drinking, or we just won't be able to hop out. How are we going to get out? Well, they swam and they swam and they hopped as much as they could, and they just couldn't get out. And the fat one said to the other, friend, brother, it looks as if we're doomed. It might as well we just give up paddling. Just give up paddling and just give up. And the young one said, the other one said, no, friend, we can't give up. We have to keep on. And they kept on and they kept on and they kept on and they kept on and they kept on. And they just couldn't get out. They couldn't swim anymore. They just couldn't get out. And they looked at each other in discomfort. And the big one said again, it looks like we're gonna drown. We might as well stop. And the skinny one, he said, no, we can't give up. Let's just paddle and paddle. And the big one said, I just can't. I can't go on anymore. The little one said, paddle, my friend, paddle. So they paddled and they paddled and they hopped and they paddled. And they paddled and they hopped and they hopped and they paddled. And they got tired again and they looked at each other. And the slim one decided that he was going to give up paddling. And he gave up paddling, and the big one looked at him and said, no, friend, you told me to keep on paddling and keep on. You have to do it. Come on, you can do it. And the little one looked at the big one and said, I just can't. I can't do it anymore. And he just gave up and he drowned. Well, the big one, he just kept paddling and he kept paddling and he kept paddling. And he was frightened because his friend, who he grew up from childhood with, from tadpole days, had just drowned from giving up. But that despair and that letdown made him paddle even more and more and more. And all he could hear was his friend's voice say, keep paddling, keep paddling. And he paddled and that milk eventually turned into butter. Well, he was glad, and with those sticky and tired feet, he hopped on out of that bucket. Well, he was glad to get back to where his place was, and eventually he met another female frog, and they grew up and they had kids. And that fat frog told his kids every day the story about what happened to him and his skinny friend. And he always told them to never give up, to keep going and keep going. As long as you have life, keep going. I appreciate you listening. Thank you. I hope you got something from this. God bless you. Servant David said, manners, love, and elevation. Bless greetings, each and every one of you. But today, this story is about a clever fish. Let's call it the clever fish. So drink your smoothies, get your popcorn, magnums, whatever may be your beverage. Gather around and listen to the story. You see, Once upon a time, there was a fisherman who basically his livelihood was fishing. Well, he went out one day because he needed some fish to, catch and bring back home, eat, and sell in the market. So he told his family, you guys stay here, and I'll be back. I'm going fishing. Kissed everyone goodbye and went over to the river. While he got to the river, he saw that it was pretty quiet, and the water was just calm. There wasn't any other fishermen. There weren't even any birds in the sky, he noticed. He said, this must be a good day. No distractions. So he got his net, and he threw it over. He sat there for a minute, and he began to see little shuffles and tugs in the water from where he put his net. Well, he figured he caught something. So he started to pull up his net and pull the net and pull the net, and he pulled it up, and to his surprise, it was this one little fish. He was surprised. He said, wait a minute, one fish? Oh, this is just dinner for me, let alone my family. Oh, well, maybe I'll just put him in the bucket and try again. Just then, to his surprise again, the fish spoke. The fish said, sir, why do you choose to keep me? Wouldn't it be much better if you threw me back in the river, let me go tell my friends, family, that you're here, and we can all come back and you'll have more fish that you can go on and do your business? Well, the fisherman, he sat there and he thought about it for a little while. And he said, maybe you're right. So he threw the fish back into the water. And the fish swam away. And that clever little fish went back and told all his friends and all the other fish and things, don't go over in that area because there's a guy fishing with a net. He'll catch you and we'll never see you again. Well, that fisher guy, he sat there with his net, and he waited, and he waited, and he waited. No tug. He even fell asleep. And he woke up and he took a big stretch in the yard. Realized where it was, and he grabbed the net. Still nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, the moral to the story is in life, sometimes you have to be that clever little fish. No, I don't encourage wrongdoings. Sometimes you have to even tell a little lie sometimes to get out of certain traps or situations that life may bring you. Even Abraham, he lied. He told the king that Sarah, his beautiful wife, was his sister to save his life. In life, sometimes you have to be that clever fish. Just a little something to think about. As usual, Servant David said, love, manners, and elevation. And walk good, yeah? Blessed greetings, everyone. I am Servant David, and this is Storytime Sunday. But today, this story is going to be a little bit different, you know. Also, this story is actually a true story. All the other stories I tell are normally, stories with morals, but made up stories. This one here is a true story, and I got it from an experience that I experienced. I have a good friend of mine named Brother Gary. You guys need to go check out that show, the Bro Gary Radio Show. Subscribe, comment, and share out the thing, yeah? But he has a show, and on one of his shows, he was talking about how a lot of us have friends, and we have these jobs, and we work this place, that place, for all these teen years and whatsoever, all these amount of years, and we never hook a friend up with a job and all those things, and I am one that I'm skeptical about referring people or getting people jobs because it was someone I know, and I get them the job, and they're working, and I've been there for years, and I've been offered, supervisor position and all those things, but shift position, shift supervisor and all those things. And I turn it down because the responsibility that comes behind it and the headache, I'm just not one for it. So I would turn them down, and he's been working and doing a good job at that, and he finally, get promoted per se. And then he get the offer to be a supervisor. And sir, as him get the supervisor position in less than a week's time, people start see like him attitude change, the way him a do things, the things him used to do, what we really not supposed to do, you know. But him go point it out, so say we are do it and this and that and long story short, that same friend that I got the job end up fire me. End up fire me for some earphones that I had in my ears. Headphones. All them did have to say was take them out. So, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Call me one way. Really. And this is somebody I see every day away from work. You know? He head just swell up and him just, you know? So these are the things we have to be careful of, referring people to jobs. And not only that they can turn around and bite you, but they can mess up your name. Because he could have been the type that does not go there and do a good job and all those things. That does make me look bad, you know? So that is a story that really happened. And tell you the truth, at the time I was vexed. But right now, I not even feel no way about it, you know? Because what is for me is for me, you know? And maybe my time there, I come to an end. Anyways, as usual, Servant David said, love, manners, and elevation. Until next time, we'll walk good, yeah? Oh.
Blessed greetings, everyone of you. Well, today is Storytime Sunday. And this one, I'm going to call it Talk the Truth. Yeah? So, I'm going to give you a true story. This happened when I was a child. I'm not proud of it. And I did learn from it. And as you know, my stories for Storytime Sundays are stories with morals. When I was young, you know, most of you who probably know me by now know that I've always been athletic and into music, you know. So I would play my music or listen to music on the radio or, you know, have my little turntables and doing my thing, and I would record stuff. My mother, but then, you know, she was really into, like, you know, church cassettes and stuff, because back then they didn't have CDs as yet, or discs. They had either records or the cassette players, you know. So any of you who can relate and know what the cassette player is, the thing in a plastic case with a piece of tape, and sometimes when tape pop, you use piece of scotch tape and you tape it back and you mail it back. You know what I mean? Well, I ran out of blank tapes, you know, and I would grab her church cassettes
And then up on the top you have a little square little thing and you pop them off, stuff them with something, put some more tape, some tape on it or something, put it in something, hit record, boom. And I will record and make all kind of cassettes from me. Rip off the little saying that was on her cassette and writing something on it. So if she see it laying down somewhere, it doesn't look like hers. That was wrong. And it's not funny. I mean, to some you may laugh, but it's not funny. That was wrong. And that first time that I did that, I would get like, oh well, I got away with it type of feeling. So once I felt that, I did it again and I did it again until after a while, mommy started noticing her cassette them I miss. And she asked me, "Did you take my cassette?" No, no. And that went on for a while until one day I realized that what me I do is wrong, and I go to mommy and I tell her what I do. I wait, it was a few years later, yes. I tell her what I done first and was wrong, I'm sorry, and da 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 da. And mommy said to me, she knew all along. She just played fool. So each and every time when she first started notice that the cassettes would be missing, instead of getting one cassette, she would get two because she knows it's gonna miss. But she thanked me and she hugged me and told me she appreciated that I did tell the truth, even though it was a few years later. But she knew. And she also said, what's done in the dark will surely come to light. So be careful what you do, whether it be good or bad. And for those who don't know, this right here in the picture is my baby brother, Big Mike. Story time Sunday. You guys type down in the comment section below and tell me what you got from me. Yeah? And as usual, servants say, love, manners, and elevation to you, and you. And walk with you. Blessed greetings to you all. Blessed greetings to you all. Well, today is Storytime Sunday, and this one is entitled, Why It Pays to Be Honest. You know, by trade, I'm a pastry chef, but I also, do other cooking, like catering and stuff like that. And I work for a certain company. It's a banquet hall, where they do weddings and stuff like that. And I came in to work, and mind you, I'm a chef, not a janitor or anything like that. And as I came in, my boss told me to sweep the hallway, but it's a long hallway. Told me sweep and mop it. So I did it. Then he told me to go downstairs and sweep and mop the whole basement. It's a huge basement. Takes about one person doing it. It would take probably about 2.5 hours to do. Right? They have maintenance, but they're short on maintenance. So he tells me to do it. And he has some dishwashers there who they are asked to clean, the same thing he asked me to do. Every now and then he asks them to do it. Well, I guess they didn't do too good of a job because he asked them to do it just yesterday. So he asked me to do it. Without grumble, without complain, I did it. But when I do things, I do it to the best of my ability. If I'm sweeping something, I move the thing, I move the trash can, I move this and that. When I move the trash can, and I found $20. I found $20. It's a little backwards, but I found $20. $20. What would you have done? Well, me, I took this $20 and I brought it to my boss. I explained to him, I was sweeping him up and downstairs in the basement. I found this underneath the garbage can. He said, "Thank you, Frank. Thanks." And he took it. And shortly after, maybe about an hour after, he called me into the office. Closed the door. So I closed the door. And he said that $20 was put there 3 weeks ago. And I asked those guys to clean it. He said he put this $20 there. He thanked me for cleaning it. And he told me he thanked me for my honesty. Because he wanted to see who, if he could, who he could be trusted on his crew, I guess. So he let me keep it. And then he also said, "Here's an extra $50. Here's an extra $50. Extra 50. See? An extra $50. Thank you." Well, obviously, I thanked him. I said, "You sure?" He said, "Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you." So the moral of this story is it pays to be honest. I'm just saying. As usual, Servant David said, manners, love, and elevation. Until next time, on the walk good. If you like the video, please subscribe. If you haven't done already, hit the thumbs up and don't forget to share. But if you did not like the video, go ahead and hit the thumbs down. But please, I ask you to just leave an explanation on why you didn't like it. And maybe that can help me to improve. On the walk good, yeah? This story is a true story, and it happened to me a few years ago. You see, this is one of those church stories, One at a time, I was in church and, going to the building and all those things. And, I'm the type who always love the spotlight. I always like to record things, especially concerts and singing and, stuff like that. So one day, there was a couple of church members who, I guess there was a falling out or whatever. I didn't know about the falling out, but it was brought to the congregation's attention that those people wrote a letter to the pastor and to the church saying that they were leaving. and, you know, residing on those things. So they sent a letter, and the pastor, he had a meeting, and the meeting was to let us, a meeting with only members, and the meeting was to let us know that those members had left, and very rare, we must wish them well, and this and that, and very rare. Well, that day, I didn't even have my phone with me. Battery was dead. I left it on the charger inside the car. Boom, I come inside, and furthermore, there's no reason to record something like that. So, all right, within a few days now, message come back to me from my mother. Now I am a 48, almost 50-year-old man. You should have come to me. But message come back to from my mother to me and ask me if me record anything. I'm gonna show nobody this and that. And I said, what? So basically, long story short, somebody must have recorded that meeting, edit what they want, edit or whatever, bring it back to the people that were left the church, play it for them. They hear the mix up, so obviously they would do what I would do, contact the pastor, so what kind of foolishness that, right? So he vexed about that. I vexed too, you know what I mean? So it matter about anybody and find out who do it, they can have them arrested and this and that, and I'm on his side. Yes, you can. But you know the thing now, my mother come to me and asked me if me record anything I bring back to the people then. So I said, no, I'm gonna do it. But I asked her, why would you ask me that? Because the pastor wife come to she and ask she. No, me and the pastor wife was like this, you get me? She could have come to me and asked me. She go behind my back and ask my mother to come ask me. So me, no, but to she, I say, yo, that's false information where you get. No, it wasn't me. Where did you get your information from? She don't want to tell me where she gets your information from. I say, well, this is not right. Because this person is coming to you. We should all have a meeting, the 3 of us or the 4 of us or how many of them it was, and let's get this because it wasn't me. Are you sure it wasn't you? No, when you ask me if me sure, right then and there, y'all tell me, say, oh, you believe say me. So now me really want to know who tell you that, and you not tell me. So they get ringer, me not care, me take off the church clothes. So what you mean? If me don't tell you, say me not do it. So we did it, and we did on the phone, you know, and she said, boy, she not tell me this and that, So I says, well, if you're not going to tell me, that means I'm going to have to find out myself. And if I find out myself, it might not be too nice, because I'm not coming with no sugar-coated nothing. I'm going to come raw, plain, cut, and whoever gets it, the way they get it, then get it. Because I don't like to be accused of things that, especially when I did not do. Right? If you accuse me and it was a mistake, that's different. But when you accuse me and you really believe something do something and you say me do, and me not do, me I will defend myself. And anyway I feel like it, when I may curse you, anything, me don't care who you be. You could have Moses himself, me I curse you. So, me ask her to tell me who, she don't want to tell me. Me ask her to have the meeting, she don't want to have the meeting. We say, all right, well, since them come to you, and you go to my mother, who instead of come to me, Sunday come, me I come in a church, and me I wait till it pack, and me I stand up and ask everybody, what is what? What is what? Who said what? Who said me say, or me not say? So like that me I go, and that me say, you can't do that. Well, if you not tell me how else me to do it, me not must come in there. So I said, it sounds like you're defending whoever it was. And me and you was like this. And it seems like you're defending whoever it was that come to you and tell you whatever foolishness. You understand? You know what tell me? She said, no, I'm not going to tell her just because it wasn't you, then don't worry about it. I said, no, you know, gone too far, no. So you see something come, I'm going to come. And when I come, it's going to be a rude awakening. A rude awakening. How are you doing, sir? It's going to be a rude awakening. Because I'm not coming with no sugar coat, nothing. I'm coming raw, uncut, whatever, and I'm going to wake up everybody. You know, people fall asleep when the pastor is talking. They're going to wake up everybody that morning. So what do you think she do? Because she knows I'm serious. Like I said, we like this. She know how I am. She get frightened or whatever. She want to run back to hubby, run back to pastor. Oh, honey, David said he might come back and this and that. So pastor call me. If me come back to the church, he might go call police and have me arrested. Arrested for what? After me I try to defend you and myself too. Because whoever did that to you was wrong. And whoever said me do that was wrong. So me I try to figure this thing out and I try to do it the nice way, the adult way. Come make me sit down like adults and you know how I do that? And me tell you, say, me I come give you a rude awakening and you come tell me, say, you call police on me. I never step foot back into that church again. And then New Year's Eve come. I want to say 2019 or something like that. And you know what them do? Call me back to come back because why? Them need me to do the parking lot and some other stuff. So me go. I'm going to do the parking lot. And when time to go do the testimony now, they must feel say me I go say something. I hear what them do now. Turn off microphone for me. Everything rap shot. Everything mash up. You know what I mean? So right now, I don't know, but because I say, all of you know who you accuse of certain things. You cannot just accuse people of things like that and don't expect them to respond anywhere when they feel like respond. So again, that was story time Sunday. I'm just putting it a little short. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Servant leaders some manners, love, and elevation. In the comments below, tell me what you would have done if you were in my shoes. Yeah, I'm gonna walk with you. Blessed day, everyone. Today's message is on forgiveness. You know, one of the hardest things we can do is forgive someone who isn't sorry. You know, this reminds me of a story about a black woman who moved to the South. She moved next door to a white woman who was so disgusted and upset that a black person would have the audacity to even move next door to her. So this white woman every day would throw feces into this black woman's yard. Now this happened for days, weeks, months, and even years. Till one day that old white woman caught a heart attack. And the very first person to visit her was that black woman. When the white woman saw her, she cried till she couldn't cry no more. And she caught her breath and she said, thank you for coming. I don't know if you realize it or not, but I'm the same woman who threw feces in your yard for years. And I'm so sorry. And I want to thank you for bringing these beautiful, beautiful flowers. Thank you so much. Where did you get them? Did you order them from the local flower shop? The woman said no. She said, did you order them online and have someone deliver them to you? The woman said no. Miss, you have no idea But these flowers that I bring to you come from the very same feces that you threw in my yard.
Hallelujah.
You see, you meant it for my bad, but God meant it for my good. When Jesus was on the cross and he died for our sins, he gave the original F them. Forgive them. You see, when we truly learn to forgive, we come out smelling better than our problems. People will say and do all kind of nasty and mean things to you in your journey of life. But regardless, from you are a child of God, you have to remember to forgive. Because again, when you forgive and you truly forgive, you come out looking and smelling better than any experience that you can experience. So always remember to forgive your friends, your family, and especially your enemies. May the Lord God continue to guide and bless you. In Jesus' name. Walk. Blessed greetings, everyone. Well, it's story time again. And this one here is called Trust God and Keep the Faith. A man and his wife, they just got married and was returning home. They were crossing a river in a boat and suddenly a storm arose. The man, well, he was a warrior, but the wife became very, very afraid because the waters were raging and it seemed almost hopeless, as if any moment, they could drown. She was trembling and said, "Are you not afraid? How could you just be so calm? This could be, our moment of death. Because it doesn't look like, we will be able to get to shore. And only a miracle can save us. And if not, then I would have to say death is certain for us, honey." The man laughed and took out his sword from the sheath. His wife was now even more puzzled. Then he put the sword to her neck and he asked, "How about now? Are you still afraid?" Well, she chuckled and said, "No. Why should I be? Because I know that if the sword is in your hand, I'm safe. I know you love me, and you would never do me harm." He then put the sword down and put it back in the sheath and said, "Well, hon, I know God loves us, so whatever is to happen is going to be good. If we survive, then good. If we die, then good. Because everything is in God's hands, and he can't do anything wrong." Ladies and gentlemen, a Christian life is no bed of roses. There will be many problems, and our faith will be tested and tried. But as Hebrews 2, verse 18 says, trust God during all, not some, but all of our trouble, and we will see wonders. So again, trust God and keep the faith. As usual, love, manners, and elevation. Servant David says so. Thanks for listening. Just greetings each and every one of you. Well, this one here, I'm gonna call it Waiting on God. So one day, there was this lady who would live her life as good as she could, but at the same time, she kind of was like on both sides of the fence. She would pray, do good things. She wasn't fully in. She would also do things that she shouldn't do. One Sunday she went to church. And she was there listening and praying. And during her praying time, she said, Father God, I'm asking you to come and visit me because I want to serve you full-heartedly. I want to serve you. Surprisingly, she heard a voice, clear as day, but ever so sweet. The voice said, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. And I will be coming to see you before the week's end. She was shocked, frightened even, because she knows she heard the voice. She looked around, and everyone was worshiping and praying and carrying on as if they did not hear what she heard. So right then she knew it was God. The service went on. Praise and worship was great. Church was over and the benediction was called. She did not go up, for she figured she was saved. After church, driving home, she began to talk to God and say, you know, you told me you would come see me, and you didn't. But then again, you did say, by the week's end. So she went home and enjoyed her meal that she cooked for her Sunday dinner. The night came and she fell fast asleep. In a hurry, she went to bed quick, fell fast asleep. She then woke up Monday morning. She waited and waited and waited all day. All day. No sign, no word. She wondered. That night she prayed and she said, God, you said you were coming, but I don't see you. She went to bed and she woke up Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, she did not hear or see God. Tuesday afternoon, she did not hear or see God. Coming down into the evening, she wondered, God did not come because he knows all. He knows that the food in the house is not much. Maybe he'll be hungry when he comes. He wants me to buy, get something maybe. So she went out to the supermarket. And while in the supermarket, she got all the nice things that you would get for the best guest that was coming to your home. While in line, there was a young man who was short a few dollars on his order. He turned and he asked her, "Can you help me?" She cried, "I can't, because I only have enough money to buy food for me and my household for when my Lord comes." She walked out of the store and she went home. That night she heard nothing. She fell asleep on Wednesday again. Morning, she heard nothing, saw nothing. She wondered what could be going on. What could this be? She said, maybe God knows that my house is not in order. Maybe God knows that it's a little dirty. So let me clean. She spent the whole afternoon Wednesday cleaning and cleaning. Went back to the store to get more stuff. She even brought new drapes, a shampoo machine to shampoo her setting. She went home and she cleaned and had her place sparkling clean. But still no sign or voice from God. She then went to sleep and arose early Thursday morning, thinking God must come today. God did not show in the morning. He was not heard in the afternoon. And in the evening, she heard a knock at the door. And she said, yes, it must be God. She ran to the door as quick as she could to find that it was her neighbor who lived just 2 houses down. His wife had fallen out of her wheelchair, and he's an elder man himself, and he needs help to pick her up. He went to everyone's house and no one answered, and she's the only one who answered. Will she help him? She said, sir, I would love to, but I just can't. For if I come down there and help you, I may miss the visit that I am expecting. She closed the door and went back in. Thursday night, she heard nothing. She saw nothing from God. She rose Friday morning and said, yes, God must come today. Friday morning, no God. Friday afternoon, she decided that she would go out walking around the block. And she walked around the block just for a second. And she saw an old man who appeared to be a bum. And he begged her for $5. She turned to him and said, I cannot give it to you because the money that I have is for my offering to God. She walked away and returned home. When she returned to her home that evening, she saw or heard nothing from God. She relaxed watching TV, her favorite talk shows, her favorite pastors on TV. She even sent out a few posts on social media until she got tired and she fell asleep. She slept ever so good. And she arose Saturday morning, expecting to see God. She did not see him. She did not hear him. Saturday afternoon, still no God was shown. She wondered. She even began to pray and say, God, where are you? No answer. Saturday night, she began to fall asleep. She prayed and she prayed until she began to cry. And she said, God, you said you would come, but I don't see you. It's been almost a week since you said you will come. But I won't fret because you may just come tomorrow when I go to church. She prayed and she prayed and she sat there crying. And out of nowhere, she heard that same voice she heard just the Sunday before. And he said, Miss, I am here to talk to you. He says to her, you begged me to be there for you. And I was. She said to him, God, you told me you would come and see me sometime before the week's end. He said, Miss, I did come every day this week. But each time I came, you turned me away. She was amazed and said, when did you come? And I turned you away. And he reminded her of each time. From when she went into the supermarket and did not help the customer who needed help financially. From the old man who needed help to the bum who needed help. You did not help them. At those times, it was me. Why would I show my face to you? She cried and she cried, and the voice was gone. People, get your houses in order. I am not perfect, so I too have things I need to clean up. We all do. And this world is not our home. It will come to an end. Oh, yes. Where will you be when that day comes? Where will you be? How will your house be when that day comes? God is here. He's amongst us. He's within us. He's within you. He just hasn't called us home yet. Because he knows we're not ready. He's ever so patient, ever so loving. But he's a just God. And he's a jealous God. Yes, he is. So my brothers and sisters, I beg you, get your house in order. And when you're out on the road and life's situations arise, just remember that that thing or someone or a situation just could be God, and it just could be your answered prayer. Until next time, in the walk good. Servant David says so. Glory to God. Best greetings, everyone. The story here is called Run That Race. Once upon a time, there was a young athletic boy who was always hungry for success, and for him winning was everything, and success was measured just by winning. One day the boy was preparing himself for a yearly running competition in his neighborhood. Himself and a few other boys were to compete. As usual, a large crowd had gathered to witness the race. And a wise old man that heard so much of this little boy had traveled from far to witness the boy in action. The race began. The athletic boy was falling behind, but was so near to the finish line. And sure enough, the boy dug deep and called on his determination, his strength, and his power. He took to win and was first. The crowd was ecstatic and cheered and waved at the boy. The wise man remained still and calm, expressing no sentiment. However, the little boy felt proud and important. A second race was called, with much more athletic boys than the little boy. They also joined the race. The race started, and surprisingly enough, the little boy came through and finished first again. Once again, the crowd was ecstatic and cheered the boy. But the wise man remained still and calm again, expressing no emotions, no sentiment. The little boy, however, felt proud and important and began to shout, "Another race, another race. Who wants to be next? Another race." The wise old man stepped forward and presented the little boy with two challengers. One was an elderly and frail. The other was a blind man. "What is this?" quizzed the little boy. "This is no race, no competition," he explained. "Race," the wise man said. The race was started, and the boy was the only finisher, while the other two challengers were left at the starting line. The little boy was ecstatic and raised his hands in victory. The crowd, however, was silent, showing no sentiment toward the little boy. The boy asked, "What has happened? Why the people do not join in my success?" he asked the wise old man. "Race again," replied the old man, "but this time, finish together. All three of you, finish together. Now race." The little boy thought a little, then he stood between the two challengers, then took them both by the hand. The race began, and the little boy walked slowly, ever so slowly, towards that finish line. And crossing it, all three of them together. The crowd was ecstatic and waved at the boy. The wise man smiled while gently nodding his head and said, "How do you feel?" And the boy said, "I feel proud and important." "Old man, I understand not, though. Who do the crowd cheer for? Which one of us three?" The wise old man looked him into his eyes, and placing his hands on the boy's shoulders, he replied softly, "Little boy, for this race you have won much, much more than in any race you've ever ran before. And for this race, the crowd cheers not just for one achievement. You see, in life, in your life, what are you running for? Are you hungry for success? Is winning the only measurement for you? Is winning the only important thing for you in life? And who are you running against? And if you always win against everybody, then soon people will stop cheering. At the end of your life, if you look back, the question is, who was running next to you in this race? If they were weaker and old, did you help them to get across the line? Did you all finish together? Because that is the best race one could ever run. So run this race called life. But don't forget, it's not important if you win. But what's much more important is how you ran the race. As usual, Servant David said, manners, love, and elevation. Thanks for watching. Walk good, yeah? Servant David out. Well, gather around, everybody. Story time. Desires that stimulate moments with God, born out of our most painful experiences. These experiences, they are often brought on by someone other than God, that they can yield precious fruit. Their suffering was great, but the fruit has been precious, and their testimony brought much glory to God. I'm a living testimony and witness to this type of thing. And similar with those who went from despair to songs of triumph, from defeat to overcome, power, from bondage to misery, and misery to victory. The struggle was bitter, but the results was precious fruit, peaceable fruit of righteousness. Joseph also suffered greatly, but the result was precious fruit. As Joseph saved many people during a famine, he told his brothers, "You thought evil against me, but God meant it to good." For us too, our character is revealed by the way we handle misunderstandings and rejections. These can hurt deeply, but as we have the mind of Christ, we can bear precious fruit. Our growth as Christians can be painful, oh, so painful, but we must remember that our faith has value much more precious than of gold that, perishes. We need to pray with the psalmist. Search me, O God, and know my heart. This searching can also reveal disturbing needs in our lives. But again, the result is precious fruit. How is it with us? Do we let suffering produce the peaceable fruit of righteousness? We will be richly blessed if we do. And remember, we know that all things work together for those who trust in God. As usual, Servant David said, manners, love, and elevation. Thanks for listening. Blessed greetings, everyone. Well, it's story time again. Oh, yes, it's story time once again. You see, once upon a time, there was a king, and he was elderly. He was up there in age, and to top it all off, he was also deathly sick. He had no daughters or sons to take over and be successor of the throne. So the king put out a notice stating that there was an opportunity for someone to become the next king. The only requirement they would have to have is a loving, compassionate, and caring heart. So the king put out this notice, and the people in the place and in the village were excited. Everybody ran around doing what they could do to meet this requirement of the king. Well, there was this one poor man, a very hard-working man, but financially he was poor. And he wanted this opportunity so bad. But he did not have the money to buy the attire and the clothes that he would need to be presentable in front of the king. So this man worked hard and he saved up enough money just to buy food for him to travel, and he was also able to buy some nicer this trip. When he was nearly there, just outside the train, he saw the man was in all clothes and just looked awful. But this man, he felt it for this man. And he stopped and he took off his clothes and he traded his clothes with that beggar man. And not only that, but he also gave him the food, the little bit of food that he had for his journey. Well, after they switched clothes, he wondered to himself, I came this far. I might as well keep on going. So he went on. And as he got to the kingdom, he noticed there were a line. And he waited also patiently. It's time for him to go into the palace and meet the king. He opened doors and he bowed. And the king told him to arise. And as he lifted his head and he arose, his eyes were in curiosity, in amaze, because he noticed that the king looked very familiar. Well, the king noticed these curious eyes and he said, yes, sir, I am he. I am that beggar man that you helped on the way. Well, the man was amazed and he said, why would you do this to me? Why did you dress up as a beggar? Why? And the king said to him, because had I was just like the king, you would have told me and shown me my ears, eyes, wanted to. But from what you have done, and not even knowing me, or knowing who I was, you showed compassion. And that is a heart of love for a fellow human being. So that is why I did that. You see, ladies and gentlemen, kindness is important than wisdom and the recognition of these this. This is the beginning of wisdom. A heart filled with compassion and love to our fellow humans is the greatest gift that one can give to the entire world. A king in this land today might be rich, glamorous, might be popular, or even have all the earthly power and might. But this type of kingdom is worthless compared to a rich and honest and loving heart of a beggar man. Just a little something to think about. You guys stay blessed. And as usual, Servant David said, love, manners, and elevation. Thanks for listening. Blessed greetings, each and every one. Well, it's story time again. Yeah? So get around. Ladies and gentlemen, get around and let's hear this story. You know, if you're familiar with the Bible, then you're familiar with King Solomon. And King Solomon has said many things. And though one of the things King Solomon said is, there is a time for everything. Although he said that, he did not mention being late. You see, today's Bible reading has two parables in which being late has disastrous results. From the 5 foolish virgins were late because they needed to purchase oil for their lamps. When they returned, the door was closed. The man without a wedding garment found it was too late to do anything about his problem because he had failed to put on, the proper garment provided by the king. He was cast into outer darkness. How utterly tragic to find or to be found unprepared, but too late to make amends. You see, being late can become a habit that is hard to break. Very, 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 very hard to break. And you know, it's interesting that we can often find it hard to be in the building which we call the church, but easy to get up early for work or go hog hunting. We can be late for fasting, but early to go do a yard sale or an auction because we don't want to miss that bargain, like Black Friday and those things. You know, latecomers who do go to the church buildings, it's a distraction that can be hindering, the worship of others. So being punctual is helpful if we're giving God his due time. Abraham, in Genesis 19:27 and 22 verse 3, he woke up early to worship. In Exodus 34:4, Moses, he rose up early to worship. In Joshua 7:16, Joshua rose up early to discern the Lord's will. King Darius rose up early to go to the lion's den to check on Daniel in Daniel 6:19. Jesus himself even rose up early to pray. In Mark 1 verse 35. And Mary Magdalene and other women went to Jesus' grave very early in the morning. You can find that in Mark 16, 1-2. How is it with us? Do we begin the day by rising up to worship God, whether by ourselves or with others? This is part of giving God his rightful place in our life. A person properly, prepared with God is well prepared for whatever day may bring. A wise man once said, it's better to be 3 hours too soon than 1 minute too late. Thanks for listening, and I hope you got something from this. Servant David said, love, manners, and elevation. Blessed greetings to each and everyone. Well, it's story time again. So grab popcorn, your smoothies, your drinks, or what may have you. Gather around and hear this story. You know, election time is nearing in the United States once again. And elections can sometimes bring changes which can produce a multitude of uncertainties. Some people rejoice over changes in leadership while others are disappointed by the election results. But that is democracy for you. One person or group is in control for a time, but rest assured, soon and soon, another will soon replace him or her. This can be, unsettling to those who find their security in an individual or a political party. But regardless of our views, this system provides opportunities to follow leaders that, will truly appreciate and also to submit to those whom we admire less. Perhaps we wish there were more predictable or permanence in our leadership. But as long as our hearts are trusting in earthly rulers, we will never be satisfied. Because earthly rulers and their administrations will pass away. They are replaced by more powerful or more popular leaders. This struggle for power and position will continue as long as Earth is in existence. The basic structure of earthly nations is unstable and promotes the worry and fear associated with uncertainty and greed. This is in the stark contrast of God's kingdom. One of the most, reassuring aspects of God's kingdom is that the king does not change, ever. Emotions do not even affect his judgments. External pressures are never an influence, and they never ever influence his judgment or decisions. He guides by truth and love. Yes, our Lord, our God, our King is full of compassion. His mercies, they are new every day, every morning, every afternoon, every night. He has shown us, the requirements for being citizens of his kingdom. We can read them in his word, and we can be assured that as long as we follow those principles, we will be loved and protected by him. And that's what matters. These qualities provide security and courage instead of instability and fear. But our God, the God of all gods and his kingdom, will never be overcome, for he will reign forever. Yes, he will reign forever. The final victory over death has already been won. Ladies and gentlemen, we need not fear, from our trust is in him. I hope you got something from this, because I did. As usual, Servant David said, love, manners, and elevation to each and every one of you. Thanks for listening.
leader them. Him go look for Jesus one night and said to him, say, Teacher, we know say a God tell you to come teach. Because nobody can walk the miracle them where you walk. If I know God that cause them to do it. For sure, nobody can take part in a God kingdom if them not born again. Then how somebody will old for born again? Somebody can't go back in a mother belly and born one at a time. For sure, nobody can take part in a God kingdom if them not born over that time, yeah, in a water and in a the spirit. When baby born, a people are people. God, He make people born in a the spirit. So no friend when you hear me tell you say you have to born one next time. Breeze blow go which part it want to go. You only hear the sound where it make. But you can't see where it come from and you can't see which part it go. No, I see him so it go with everybody where the spirit make born. Oh that. Are you a top teacher in Israel? And you don't understand them sitting here when I talk about? For true, may I tell you, we talk about the sitting there where we know about. And we talk about the sitting there where we sit for ourselves. But only people don't take what we say. If me talk to you about the sitting there where take place on the earth and only not believe. Or not go believe me if me talk to you about what going on in heaven. Nobody never go heaven yet. Only the one will come down from out there. And that's the man where God picked. Just like how Moses did lift up the snake in the desert. I said, we so the man where God picked must get lift up. So all of them with trust in him can live forever. Because, you see, God loved the world so much that him give up him one deggy boy picnic. So anybody with trust in him not go dead, but I go live forever. Because, you see, God never tell him boy picnic in the world right after people in the world. No. God said him to save them. Anybody will trust in a God, why people not get right off. But the people them will not trust in him, them done right off already. God, them not trust in a God, one deggy boy picnic. Them not trust in him name. No. At this you make people get right off. The one where the light come in at the world. But the people them will live in at the world love darkness instead of light. Them love the dark, because bear wickedness them do. Because everybody with the wrong hate light. And them don't want to walk out in the light. Because them afraid to the light where show up the bad sitting them where them are do. But the smart will do what God said the right thing to do. Walk out in the light. So that everybody can see I really God make him do where him I do. After that, Jesus and him followers them left and go out in the country part of Judea. Him spend some time there with them and he did baptize people. John did baptize people too. I one place not too far from Salem, what them call Anan. Him did baptize there because enough water did there. And people did go there to get baptized. This is before them did lock up John in a prison. No, John followed them and one little Jew. Getting a one piece of argument about what them religions about how people for wash and make themselves clean. Then go over to John and said to him, say, Teacher, the man where they dead with you upon the other side of River Jordan, the one where you did not talk about. Look, see him there baptized him, and everybody have got to him. Somebody can only have what God did. You don't know for yourself and can tell anybody to me say, me are not the Christ. God only said me come before him. You see, the bride of the bridegroom. The bridegroom breaking with salt out the sitting them film wedding, and we turn up and listen out to him. In glad bag box when time him hear the bridegroom voice. Right now, I see him where some feel well happy about what go on. The man that we have baptized people, him have to get bigger and bigger. Me have to get smaller and smaller. The somebody will come from upper top, bigger and better than everybody. The somebody will come from earth, belong to the earth, and him talk about what go on the earth. The somebody will come from upper top, bigger and better than everybody. Him talk about what him see and hear. But nobody believe what him say. The somebody will take in and follow what him say. Sure, clear, so what God say, true, six. God, the one where God send come, say all of what God tell him to say. Because you see, God gave him every single bit of his spirit. The Father loved him, boy, picnic, and he gave him power over everything. The somebody will trust in him, boy, picnic, and will live forever. But the one when I want to have nothing to do with him, now I'm going to live. And God ever going to punish him. After Jesus done pray, him and him follower them cross over one river where them call Kidron. One garden did there. And him and him follower them go in there. Now Judas, the one who sell out Jesus, didn't know the place there. Enough time Jesus used to meet up with him follower them there. So Judas come at the place with one group of soldiers. The head priest them and the Pharisee, them send some of the man them with guard God house there too. The whole of them go in at the garden with lamp, torch, and all sort of sitting to fight with. So Jesus now, through him they don't know what did go happen to him. Walk up to them and ask them, say, who now look for? Jesus will come from Nazareth. Them say, and me that. Jesus said to them, now Judas, the one who sell him out, did not turn up there with them. So now, when Jesus said, and me that, the soldier and the guard them draw back and chop a ground. Then Jesus asked them one at a time, say, who no I look for? And them say again, say, you look for Jesus, where come from Nazareth. Me just don't telling us, say, I'm me him. If I'm me, who no I look for? Then me tell man where they are with me, go on. Him said this here to make what right down in a God word come true. It said, no even one of them where you give me no last. Simon Peter did have one sword, and him draw it out and chop off the right ears of the servant to the leader for the priest them. The servant is named Malchus. But Jesus said to Peter, say, put back your sword in that case. Me not fi drink out of the cup where my father give me fi drink out of. Me not fi suffer. After that they happen, the soldier them and them leader, plus the guard them, hold on to Jesus and tie up him hand them. Then take him, carry go Annas first. Annas did a Caiaphas father-in-law. And Caiaphas did a the leader for the priest them for the year there. No, Caiaphas did a the one where they tell the Jew leader them, it would have better for one man dead for the whole of the Jew people them. Simon Peter and one next one that Jesus follower them walk back at the soldier and guard them when they did a carry Jesus go Annas. No, the other follower here didn't know the leader for the priest them. And sake of that, him follow them when them carry Jesus go the leader for the priest them yard. But Peter name go in, him turn out the door at the gate. The other follower, who didn't know the leader for the priest them, come back out and talk to the woman with her walk at the gate and carry Peter go inside.
You wanna one of them follower them too?
No, me no one of them. Him said to her, no, he did well cool. And so the servant them and the head priest guard them did a turn up room on fire, but then did make to keep them warm. Peter did turn up there with them too, and warm up himself. Same time this did a go on. The leader for the priest them did ask Jesus question about him follower them and about what him teach.
Me talk for everybody hear me. Me teach in the Jew them church and in the yard with the house there. Me part the Jew people them meet up together. Me no hide and say nothing. Where you ask me them sitting here for? Ask the people them where hear what me say. Them know what me say.
When Jesus said this here, one of the guard them shot him a box in his face. So you talk to the leader for the priest them? Him asked Jesus. So Jesus said to him, say,
if me say something wrong, then tell everybody I saw what me say was wrong. But if me humble talk what true, what make you box me?
Then Annas sent Jesus go Caiaphas, the leader for the priest them. Him did still have Jesus tie up. Now Simon Peter did still turn up and warm up himself. So the people around the fire asked him, say, you are no one of him follower them too? But him tell them, no,
Me are one of them.
You say, the smarty over years Peter did chop off. Did a family with one of the leader for the priest them servant them. Hear him to Peter. Don't you be see with him in the garden. Peter said, no go so. And same time him said so. One rest of crow. Early in the morning, the Jew leader them take Jesus from Caiaphas' house and carry him go to the palace where belong to Pilate. The man, the Roman, them put in charge of Judea. The Jew them name go inside him yard, and them do want to keep themselves clean in a God yard, so that them could have get near the Passover food. So Pilate come out to them and ask them, say, what would you say the man had wrong? Say, every man of a criminal, we want to carry him come to you. Take him and deal with him based on food no own law. You know, I'm not always to kill nobody. No, this happened for me, but Jesus did talk about how him did have got dead come true.